NBA fans, what is going on? I am your host, Jimmy Crowther, breaking down all the latest NBA news and rumors. But today, I'm going to give you the top 5 head coach candidates for the New York Knicks, because we all know David Fizdale is out of Madison Square Garden. He was fired after the Knicks lost 129-92 to the Denver Nuggets. Now, here's the thing. Fizdale had some time in New York. He finished 21-83 as a total record. He was hired in 2018-2019 after being fired from the Memphis Grizzlies in the beginning of that 2018 season. And here's the deal. The Knicks are 4-18 this season. Now, look, I know the Knicks don't have the greatest talent in the world. I'm still not sure they're a 4-18 team. I mean, they've got a pretty good bench, or I guess a slew of bench players. 4-18 is not acceptable. So David Fizdale is out. Now, here are Fizdale's last 4 years in the NBA. His 2 years as a head coach in Memphis. 2016-17 was a really good year, 43-39. And then that 2017-2018 season got off to a terrible start, and the Grizzlies kicked him out the door. He went 7-12. 2018-2019, of course, the Knicks were in full-on tank mode, finished 17-65. And now this year, they're 4-18. Probably another season of tanking, going for the #1 pick. But like I said, this Knicks team isn't terrible. There is definitely talent to, play with here. This is their starting lineup right now. Frank Ntilikina, RJ Barrett, Marcus Morris, Julius Randle, and Taj Gibson. On paper, pretty good names, but it's tough when you have 3 power forwards in your starting lineup, a rookie shooting guard, and Frank Ntilikina, who hasn't got a lot of run as a starting point guard either. So David Fizdale, hard to really play with what he had, but he did what he could. Finished 4-18, and now he is gone, which means Mike Miller steps in as the interim head coach for the New York Knicks. Not Mike Miller, the old player that played for the Miami Heat with the long slick back hair. Not him. Different Mike Miller. But here's the thing about Miller. He wants to preach more consistency with the Knicks. That is his thing. He's got a few months to prove himself in the New York organization, so he's going to preach that consistency. RJ Barrett was asked about him. He says that he sees Miller really focusing more on the defensive side of the ball. He wants less switching on the pick and rolls, which I think is a great idea in today's NBA. But he did lose his first game as a head coach against the Indiana Pacers, 104-103. However, he has another chance to prove himself. He's got a long time to prove himself before the Knicks bring in another guy. Now, here's the overarching question. Should the Knicks have fired David Fizdale? Type Y for yes, type N for no. I like David Fizdale. I really, really do, but you got to make a coaching change in this situation. I'm not saying the Knicks are a great team. They don't have a bunch of great talent, but they're probably not a 4-18 team either. We've seen them beat the Dallas Mavericks twice, so we know they can win ball games when they're inspired and ready to play. I'm not sure, but I want to hear from you guys. Should the Knicks have fired David Fizdale? Again, that's type Y for yes in the comment section or type N for no. And now, I'm going to break down my top 5 candidates to replace Fizdale in New York. Starting out with number 5, Becky Hammon of the San Antonio Spurs. She would make history as the first female head coach in the NBA if she came into New York. And this isn't just out of nowhere. CNBC actually reported that Hammon would have real interest in the New York job if she was given a long-term deal, which remains to be seen. We don't know if New York's going to offer that to her, but she's drawn a lot of praise as an assistant on Greg Popovich's staff. And anyone that coached under Popovich knows a thing or two about basketball like Becky Hammon does. Now, in her first 5 years as an assistant, of course, the San Antonio Spurs have been the definition of successful. 2014-15 was her first year in the NBA, 55-27. Next year, 67 wins as an assistant head coach. And then the next year, 61. Then they dropped off a little bit, the San Antonio Spurs did. She had a 47-35 season with Greg Popovich. And then last year, 48-34. Now this year, the Spurs are off to a 9-14 start. It isn't that pretty, but she's the assistant coach, so we can't put it all on her. I think she's drawn a lot of praise. I'm not ready to see her as a head coach quite yet in the NBA, but I think her time is coming. That's why I have her at number 5 for the New York Knicks. Now, before I get into my top 4, we have an incredible deal for you here, Knicks fans, from our sponsors at Fanatics. The holiday season's coming up. You need to get gifts. Maybe you want to treat yourself. You got some extra spending money. Here's what you're going to do. Go to chatsports.com/Knicks1 and you can get 40% off this Knicks warm-up jacket. It's a great deal. It's an incredible jacket, something I would buy for myself if I were looking to buy a New York Knicks jacket. Now, maybe you get 40% off that jacket and you're like, hey, I got a little extra money to spend. Maybe I'll go buy something for my brother. Maybe I'll go buy something for my loved one that loves the New York Knicks. here you go. A long sleeve t-shirt, also 40% off when you go to chatsports.com/Knicks2. That's right, chatsports.com/Knicks and then the number 2. You get this long sleeve t-shirt for 40% off. Now maybe you're like, okay, Jimmy, I get it. I got a jacket, I got t-shirts, I got plenty of shirts. I don't need any of that. I need something else. That's okay. Fanatics has got a great New York Knicks hat for you, a new era hat for 35% off when you go to, you guessed it, chatsports.com/Knicks3. Chatsports.com/Knicks3 gets you 35% off this new era New York Knicks hat. Go get yourself some gifts. Go get some gifts for other people, whatever it may be at Fanatics. Now let's go to number 4. Patrick Ewing, the greatest New York Knick of all time. We already know he played 15 seasons with the Knicks. Again, not even close, the best Knick ever. And, you know, lately he started coaching Georgetown. He's a college coach now, coaching the Georgetown Bulldogs. 2017-2018 was his first season. But this year he's had a rough year. Then the Georgetown's in some trouble. They've had some players transfer, some players accused of some crimes, and it's not looking great. Now they still have Mac McClung, who everybody loves to watch. The Bulldogs really aren't off to a terrible start. Georgetown looks okay, but Patrick Ewing may be saying, hey, I'm ready to go to the NBA. Now, as a Knick, his numbers were incredible. Again, this is why he was the greatest Knick of all time. 22.8 points per game, 10.4 rebounds, 2.7 blocks, shooting over 50% from the field. But nobody cares about his playing stats when he's coming to be a coach. Let's look at his coaching statistics. His 3 years at Georgetown, really 2.5 because this year just got started. 2017-18, he finished 500 at 15-15. 2018-19, he gets above that 500 mark for the first time at 19-14. And this year, despite losing 3 or 4 key players, the Bulldogs, Georgetown's off to 6-3 start. It's a pretty solid record for Georgetown and for Patrick Ewing. And who wouldn't love to see Patrick Ewing back in Madison Square Garden as a coach? I think that would be an incredible story. I would love to see it. So now I got another question for you here, NBA fans. Which current NBA player would you like to see as an NBA head coach? Now, I'll make a prediction here. I already think Rajon Rondo is going to be a head coach at some point. He's really good at the whole analytical side. He's good at getting in his teammates and telling them what they need to do and putting them here and there. I think he would be the first NBA player right now to be an NBA head coach. I could also see a guy like Vince Carter potentially doing it. But let me know what you think in the comment section below. Let's go to top 3. Number 3, Jerry Stackhouse. This is a guy who's flying under the radar as an incredible coach and doing really incredible things. And I would love to see him in an NBA head coaching position. Now, currently, he's serving his first year as the Vanderbilt head coach. So this is another guy in college right now, coaching in college, looking to potentially make an NBA jump. He signed a 6-year deal with Vanderbilt, so, you know, he really likes it there, obviously. They gave him a nice little chunk of change. But he has served as an assistant head coach for multiple NBA teams, 2 NBA teams, in fact, the Memphis Grizzlies and the Toronto Raptors. And perhaps the best experience he's had, and I know it's just the G League, but he won G League Head Coach of the Year back in 2017 for the Raptors G League affiliate team, the Raptors 905. So I think he's ready to make the jump. Now, again, this is another player turned coach. Stackhouse in his time in the NBA averaged 16.9 points per game, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, not a great 3-point shooter, but he spent a lot of time in a lot of different places. And when you have that much traveled experience, you have so many different coaches, so many different coaching options, and guys you get to see coach you. This is where Stack ended up in his career as a player. He was in Philadelphia for 2.5 years, then traveled over to Detroit where he played 4 years, probably his best 4 years as an NBA player with the Detroit Pistons, then the Washington Wizards for a couple years. Now, the time I remember Jerry Stackhouse was when he was with the Dallas Mavericks for 5 years, a great defensive wing for them, helped them get to the 2006 NBA Finals. Then he went to Milwaukee. These were all stops that he made for just 1 year at the very end of his career, where he was more of that player, coach, mentor kind of role. Went to Milwaukee, Miami, Atlanta, and Brooklyn, so he has already spent time in New York. I think Jerry Stackhouse is ready to make the jump as an NBA head coach. I know he just started at Vanderbilt, so it might be unlikely. That's why I don't have him as one of my top 2 coaches. Now, guys, Chat Sports is putting out the best, I mean by far the best NBA videos here on YouTube, but we're trying to get it to 150,000 subscribers. If you want more videos just like this one, you want some more Knicks videos, all you gotta do, hit the big red subscribe button. I don't know what you're waiting for. You're already watching our videos. Hit the subscribe button. We're sitting at about 145,000. I know what I want for Christmas. I want 150,000 subscribers. So go subscribe to Chat Sports, youtube.com/chatsportstv. Let's go to number 2. David Blatt, formerly of the Cleveland Cavaliers. Right now, he's coaching the Olympiacos basketball club in the EuroLeague. Now, got to remember, he was hired back in 2014-15 for the Cleveland Cavaliers, made a finals appearance, but lost in 2015 to the Golden State Warriors. And then, halfway through that 2015-2016 season, he gets canned after a 30-11 start to the season, which is mind-boggling that he still got fired after all that. Again, like I said, he's currently coaching that Olympiacos basketball team in the EuroLeague. Now, let's take a look at that championship run that David Blatt made. In his regular season, he finished the year 53-29. An incredible record. Anything over 50 wins is great if you're an NBA head coach. First round, the Cavaliers, LeBron James, they sweep the Boston Celtics 4-0. Not even a competition. Second round, they go and face the Chicago Bulls. Again, another easy win, 4-2. Then they go to the Eastern Conference Finals. They play the Atlanta Hawks. Everyone's like, oh no, they're going to get challenged. Wrong. They go 4-0. They win that one again. And then they go to the finals. And that is where they fall short. They lost to the Golden State Warriors 2 wins to 4 wins by Golden State. So an unsuccessful championship run. But a championship run in your first year as a head coach is impressive nonetheless. And here's one of the most impressive things. David Blatt is just one of 4 coaches to appear in the finals since 2014. I mean, there's only been 4 different NBA head coaches. David Blatt's one of them to be in the NBA finals. Of course, we have Steve Kerr, 5 times in there with the Golden State Warriors. He's the most experienced by far, but he ain't going anywhere. He's not leaving Golden State, so the Knicks aren't going to get to hire him. And then you get Tyronn Lue. He's made it 3 times. Now, he's an assistant right now, but I don't see him leaving there. I think he's in a great situation. He was in the NBA Finals 3 times. So that's an experienced guy. David Blatt, the other one, and Nick Nurse. And we all know Nick Nurse isn't leaving Toronto either. So David Blatt, if you want some championship experience to come in and help this Knicks team, David Blatt's going to do that for you. I think he's ready to come back to the NBA. Here's another underrated aspect of David Blatt. The NBA is transitioning into a more EuroLeague style of play. You know who the most successful EuroLeague coach of all time is? David Blatt. Give him an NBA head coaching position. I think he could make some sense for the New York Knicks. Now, I reminded you earlier near the top of our show that Fanatics, our ad sponsors, are doing some great holiday deals for you over there at their website, chatsports.com/Knicks1. If you want to get this NBA Knicks warm-up jacket, you want to look like one of the pros, you want to walk down the street, have that Knicks warm-up jacket, go to chatsports.com/Knicks1 for 40% off that jacket. Maybe you want that long sleeve t-shirt. I'll remind you what that link is. chatsports.com/Knicks2. You just need a casual t-shirt to wear, a long sleeve tee. It's getting cold out there. chatsports.com/Knicks2 gets you 40% off that long sleeve t-shirt. And finally, of course, you got the new era New York Knicks cap for 35% off when you go to chatsports.com/Knicks3. Hey, you know what? Here's what I'm going to tell you to do. Go to all 3 of those links, get all 3 of those. You've got a New York Knicks long sleeve shirt. You put on the jacket, you put on the hat. You're going to be the best looking one at your family Christmas this year when you use Fanatics. Now let's get to my #1 head coaching candidate for the New York Knicks. It's Mark Jackson. I'm tired of seeing him sitting on the sidelines. I want to see him back in an NBA head coaching role, and here's why he makes sense for the Knicks. Look, he helped shape that Golden State Warriors team into what it became. He helped shape the dynasty that was the Golden State Warriors, but he got bounced just a little too early to really enjoy all the success. He finished his coaching career 121 wins to 109 losses. Look, he spent 6 separate seasons also as a New York Knick. Now, we talked about Patrick Ewing at the top of the show, but he doesn't have NBA coaching experience. Mark Jackson does. 1987 and 1992, he was there. Then he came back in 2000. 2001, played a few games as well. Mark Jackson knows New York. He knows NBA basketball. He knows how to build a young team into a championship contender. Well, guess what? The Knicks have RJ Barrett. The Knicks have Frank Ntilikina. The Knicks have a young draft pick probably coming in the top 10 this year, along with the Dallas Mavericks draft picks a few years away. Mark Jackson comes in, he could really shape this team into what it could become. Now, side by side, Jackson's clearly a better coach than David Fizdale in his time as an NBA coach. 121 wins for Mark Jackson in just 3 seasons. Fizdale had 71 wins in 4 seasons. 109 losses to 134 losses for Fizdale. His win percentage sitting at 52.6% compared to Fizdale's 34.6%. And here's the best part. 2 playoff appearances in 3 years for Mark Jackson. David Fizdale just had the one in 4 years with the Memphis Grizzlies. And then, of course, you look at the playoff success. Now, Mark Jackson only had 9 wins, 10 losses in the playoffs, but that's better than Fizdale's 2 wins and 4 losses and a first-round exit in the playoffs for David Fizdale. I'm ready to see Mark Jackson back as an NBA head coach, and I think it makes sense for the New York Knicks. But I'll ask you guys, who is your top candidate to replace David Fizdale in New York? Maybe you like the interim head coach of Mike Miller. Maybe you want him to stay there. That's fine. Let me know in the comment section below. I'm sticking with Mark Jackson. I love him as an NBA coach. I think he deserves another shot, and I think the Knicks could be the place for him. Now, let me remind you of my top 5 here. Becky Hammon, the Spurs assistant head coach, at number 5. Patrick Ewing of Georgetown may be looking to make that jump to the NBA and come back to his former team. Jerry Stackhouse, again, another college coach that could look to make an NBA jump. David Blatt over in the EuroLeague, maybe he's like, hey, I want to come to the NBA. Bright lights of New York, let's do it. But number 1, I already told you, it's Mark Jackson. So let me know in the comment section again, guys. Who do you want to see as the next head coach of New York? Maybe you agree with me. Maybe you think it's Mark Jackson. Let me know in the comment section below.